Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Brian and I'm a mineral collector who wants to dedicate a YouTube channel to teaching people about minerals and collecting them, as well as show off my pieces with a little more detail than what you would typically see on a dealer post on Instagram or on even their webpage or whatever. With this video, I'd kind of like to share my experience so far in the mineral collecting world. I've only been collecting for a little over 3 years now, so I have a little bit of experience to talk to people about. I'd like to say that I kind of started off collecting because of a class that I took in college, just a basic geology class. In that class, I was able to handle minerals and rocks and really see a beauty in the world that I had never seen before, and it really grabbed my attention. I've always appreciated artwork. My dad is an artist, and I've been to many galleries for artwork throughout my life, and I've always appreciated different characteristics of art from what he's taught me. He knows a lot about art and is pretty successful himself in the business, and a business where most, probably 90% of artists don't ever sell a piece or get any kind of recognition or awards for their work. He's done very well for himself. So I've also always had a great appreciation for nature. When I was younger, my dad and I would go out into parks and stuff, and we'd travel just so we could get some good black and white photography. And he used to develop all the images in a dark room in the basement himself. So I've always had an appreciation for artwork my whole life. And when I discovered minerals, I was fascinated by the crystal structure and the fact that you could, hold the piece in your hands and get a good feeling. That, I don't know, it just kind of is intriguing. You hold the piece in your hands and you look at it and you just want to look at every aspect of it, and it really gets your mind going. It makes you think and wonder about, how did this form. That's what's great about the hobby, is that there's always learning happening. Whenever you look at a piece, it really gets you thinking about that stuff. You want to learn more about it, where it came from, how it's made, all those different processes, the crystal structure, who mined it, what was the process to take it out of the mine. There's so many fascinating things to learn about minerals. It's awesome, and that's what I think makes me want to make these videos, is I want to share that with you guys, and I want you guys to experience what I experience. So yeah, I took those classes and saw those rocks and minerals and was very interested in that, and so I started going online and searching them. I would just do a basic Google search of, I would just search blue minerals because I was interested back then. I wanted to see what minerals in nature are blue, and so simple Google search will give you a bunch of different pieces to look at. One mineral that I think a lot of people gravitate towards when they're first collecting or even seeing fine specimens is azurite. And so one of the first pieces I bought was probably a $45 specimen from China. I think probably a lot of people end up doing that. It just had tiny, tiny crystals on it with a little bit of malachite, and there was no decent sized crystals on it or anything like that. And I ended up selling it probably 6 months to a year later. And that's kind of what I want to talk about is if you're just starting out, I would say not to do that. You're going to go on eBay and MinFind and see prices vary drastically for the same type of material. So you'll go on MinFind and you'll see azurite pieces going for, anywhere from $4,000 or $5,000 down to a couple $100, and think, what is it about these pieces that makes them cost so much? Well, a lot of the reason why there's such huge variations in cost is because those more expensive $4,000 or $5,000 pieces, a lot of times those ones are from finds in mines, localities, whatever, that had a very limited amount of material come out. So if you only had 10 pieces come out of a find, and there's a couple of really fine pieces, big size, very detailed crystals, you are going to have to price those pieces accordingly. So if it's from a find that was limited and maybe the only one, those 10 pieces are going to go for quite a bit of money, even if they're not the best quality on the planet. So the prices are based off of that. When there's a new find, yeah, it might be unique and new, but how does that new find compare to the rest of the world as far as quality of the crystals and uniqueness of the crystals? Color and luster also comes into play, but what they're going to value it as is a comparison between those and finds that have already been made. So uniqueness plays a factor, the amount of material found plays a factor, and so they're priced accordingly. And so there's a recent find from Milpilas in Mexico. So you'll find a lot of azurite crystals and specimens from there nowadays. I guess from what I've heard, the find is now mostly depleted, if not totally depleted. I'm not 100% sure on that. So those specimens that are out there on the market now should be going up a little bit in value, and you're going to have a huge variation between them in prices. So you're going to have little specimens that are thumbnails that are going for $100, $200, and I'm talking about nice, good size, couple centimeter crystals that don't have any damage on them, that are completely terminated crystals. Those are going to go for a premium, $100, $200, maybe $300 for a good size one, and that's perfect. And that's what's going to change the pricing. So you could have a thumbnail that goes for $200 or $300 that is, perfect condition, perfectly formed, terminated crystal, compared to one that has maybe some contact damage on it. And a contact is just when the miner took it off of the rock itself. There is the damage from pulling it off of the rock, and you're going to see that a lot on specimens, and that's what they refer to as contacts. And that will affect the price a lot of times. I think it should affect the price more than what it does, but even then, it's very hard to extract these minerals without having contacts. So there's always going to be contacts for the most part, unless it's a fully formed, like double terminated crystal, or a floater, it detached from the wall and completely formed on its own. And so those pieces are going to go for more as well. So back to Milpilas, yeah, so you're going to see those going up in value, and you're going to look for good size, fully formed crystals. That's what you want. You don't want the little teeny tiny crystals that sparkle a lot. Those are nice, but they're of such large quantities. There's always going to be more of those found, and there's huge quantities of them in the world. The price on those are always going to be low, and likely you're going to get bored of it and want a better crystal down the road. If you're serious about collecting, you're really going to want to get the best piece you can get. You don't want to get common pieces, because if you ever want to do a trade or sell the piece, you want to get the money that you, at least the money that you put into the piece, out of it, and you're more likely to get that in higher quality, more expensive pieces. So do research on specifically the minerals that you really like. For me, it was azurite when I first started, and it still is. I love azurite. Everybody does. And find out about the locations. If you see something that you really like, find out where it comes from. If it doesn't have a location, I would not even buy it, unless it's something very unique. Excuse me. Unless it's something that's so unique that is just so different compared to what else is there in the world, I would not buy anything that is not labeled. And I also would be very wary of eBay sellers, specifically from China and maybe the Middle East. Make sure that they're honest people. See the friends that they're dealing with. If it's mainstream dealers, if they have a lot of friends who are mainstream dealers, you could even ask one of those dealers about them, see if they're trustworthy people. I'm sure that they would likely help you. I haven't had to do that myself. Usually you can kind of tell if they're trustworthy, but from the people I've interacted with online, I would say 90%, if not more, from my experience, are very trustworthy people. So I wouldn't say you really have to worry about that. I'm just saying, be careful. Find someone. If you're really worried about that, there's tons of very well-known, legitimate dealers that you can buy from, and a lot of them will help you too. Like if you start buying from them, they appreciate customer loyalty, and especially they're collectors too a lot of the times, so they want to help you build the best collection possible, and a lot of them will only sell higher quality pieces. So by doing that, you're going to kind of make sure that you get a good quality piece from them. So talk with the dealers, talk with other collectors, learn as much as you can from doing research on your own. Pick a mineral that you really love, like azurite or hematite, and buy those pieces. That way, in the future, you're not going to get sick of it and want to sell it. One dealer, I think, told me today's good deal is tomorrow's rock for sale. I thought that was a pretty good. I think that was Marin Minerals, Mike Keem. And I think buying the best you can afford, I got from a dealer off of an interview made on YouTube. I forget his name, but it's true. Get the best you can afford. You're going to appreciate that piece down the road, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5, 10 years from now, much more than the 10 pieces that you bought on sale or something like that. Those pieces are likely 6 months down the road going to be the next pieces for sale. So always get something that you're going to love and appreciate for possibly the rest of your life. That's the way you gotta think when you're buying minerals. Look for pieces that are rare in nature, that are rare because of an exhausted locality. Look for pieces that have good crystals on them, meaning fully formed terminated crystals. And and look at the artistic aspect of a piece. You know, how does it look artistically to you? You know, when I say that, I mean a lot of times I think the most aesthetic pieces are the ones that have sculptural form to them. Like this one right here, to me, kind of looks like, I don't know, it looks like a sculpture, or like a flame or something, like a black flame, shiny flame, or I don't know. There's just like something about it that is very interesting. And the quartz has really good contrast. That's another thing you want to look for, is contrast. Just like you would in a piece of artwork, you want to look for those types of things in a mineral. A lot of times, specimens, the best ones, will have the mineral itself on the middle of a piece of rock or matrix. You want that piece to be right in the middle and stand out on the matrix, and be basically the center of attention. You know, think of it as if you were in a cave and you saw a crystal on the wall. You want that crystal to be the center of attention. You want it to be centralized and, if possible, standing up on the piece. So you don't want a crystal that's sitting horizontally on the piece. It's always going to look better if it's in the middle and sitting upward. So you want the rock and then the piece sitting on top of the rock to stick out. Mainly that's what you look for aesthetically. Besides good crystal form and terminations and color and luster, look for that. I think I'm going to end the video here. It's already really long. Most people probably aren't going to listen to this this long, and if you have, thank you. I'm going to try and make these videos a little shorter, more informative, and script them out. This is just off the top of my head information, and hopefully it's helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed my hematite. I know probably some people may know about this piece. I don't know. Have a good day, guys. Enjoy your life. Thank you. Bye.